Tshotsholoza, kule zuntaba, simela sephume Zimbabwe. Uyabaleka, kule zuntaba, simela sephume Zimbabwe.
Noor Ibrahim had 50 homing pigeons. He lived in District 6 at the center of Cape Town. Noor Ibrahim lived with 50 pigeons in District 6 at the center of Cape Town, where there were 12 schools and Holy Cross Church, and Aspeling Street Mosque, and the Jews on Harrington Street, with the immigrants and the natives, the Indians and the Malayas, the blacks and the coloreds. Noor Ibrahim lived with 50 pigeons in District 6 at the center of Cape Town, where there was Beckenstadt Bookstore and Parker's Corner Shop, where you could buy bread and fish oil, bull's eyes and almond rock, where you could walk down to the public bath, pay a tikkie, get a 15-minute shower, and find yourself in between the gangsters and the businessmen, bathing side by side, right there at the corner of Clifton and Hanover Street. Noor Ibrahim lived in District 6 at the center of Cape Town with 50 pigeons and his family. Now, take a city, Cape Town, divided into 12 districts, one of them, District 6, at 170,000 people. Now, divide that by the Group Area Act of 1950, and you wind up with what? I'll give you a hint. It's the same as if you were to divide by race. So you're left with the remainder of one apartheid government and one Declaration of 1966, which stated that from here on out, District 6 would be a whites-only territory. So no more Hanover Street with the thick smell of curry from Doubt's Cafe. No more Jendra's Groceries or Maxim's Sweeteries or Waynick School uniforms or the sounds of children, merchants, buses, laughter, song. No. After all of that, you were left with only bulldozers, leveled buildings, raised land, broken glass and brick. Not even phantoms will haunt this ghost town because even their floating figures are not white enough. Noor Ibrahim moved the 10 kilometers to Athlone, packed up his pigeons in their cages, and left District 6 at the center of Cape Town. He left Peninsula Maternity Home, where thousands of colored babies were born every year, and the soda fountain, where you could watch the women take their laundry down to the public wash house 3 times a week. He left his house on Caledon Street. Noor Ibrahim left his home on Caledon Street in District 6 at the center of Cape Town and moved the 10 kilometers to Athlone. And he lived there for weeks, driving sometimes past the empty pit of land where District 6 no longer stood, and the winds blew hard and they swept through the dust and the dirt, and every blade of grass bent beneath the weight of what was no longer there. After 3 months, the bird droppings in the bottom of the cages became 3 layers thick, and Noor Ibrahim decided it was time to let the birds fly free so they might find their way back. And he knew that not all of them would return home that night, and he knew that the next day some of those cages might not be as full, but he also knew that sometimes gravity can become too comfortable. So that morning, he opened the doors on the cages, and the winds that swept to Cape Town swept through and lifted all 50 pigeons up into the air into a cloud of feathers, as if to say, "It does not matter how long you've kept us in cages. It does not matter how strong your gravity is. We were always meant to fly." That night, he returned home from work, turned off the car, went around to the back of the house, and cried out in pain because there in front of him were the empty pigeon cages filled with bird droppings and feathers, but no pigeons, because not a single one had returned back to him. And the man who had watched them level his house to the ground without shedding a single tear suddenly felt his mind grow fuzzy, and his rib cage felt as empty as the ones the birds had abandoned. So he got back into the car to take a drive to try to clear his mind. And as he drove down the long streets of Cape Town, the wheel moved under his hands, and he found himself on the abandoned roads of District 6. And as he neared Caledon Street, he slowed to a stop. Because there, on the empty plot of land where his house once stood, were pigeons, all 50 of them, sitting amongst the dust and the dirt and the broken glass, looking up at him as if to say, "Where is our home?" South Africa. We sing a song of strength. We go on like a rolling train forever. We never let gravity become too familiar because we were always meant to fly.
Tshotsholoza, kule zuntaba, simela sephume Zimbabwe.